There we go. I still can't hear myself. Hold on. There. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me? I can hear myself now. All right. You gotta love technology. Anyway, I hope you're all having a great Thursday. I got some great guests joining me today and talk about things that they're up to and things that we've got planned coming up. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my guests for today's show, Laura Eisenhower and Mike Barra.
How's it going, man? How you feeling today, Doc? How's everything up there in Sholo, inside the Millennium Falcon there?
Yeah, it's actually really beautiful outside. I've been stuck inside doing something that all of you, all my friends in this industry, have done except myself. I'm writing a book.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh. Why do you want to torture yourself like that, buddy?
Well, it's actually not as hard as I thought it would be because I'm taking my scripts and creating a novel.
There you go.
There you go. I've got a foundation. Yeah.
Clever move.
So good things with that, and it's flowing. Started last night. I'm in 5 chapters, and
well, if you find a good literary agent, let me know because I want one for fiction.
Nice.
That would be fun. That'd be fun to get some fiction out there.
Yes.
Because you can do things in fiction you can't do in nonfiction. You know, you can't. The whole Graham Hancock thing is you know, that where they attack you. You can just say, hey, it's just a story. I just made it up. So it's nice.
Right.
Good idea. Good move on your part. Hey, it's gorgeous here, man. It's like 90 degrees in Vegas. It's going to be 90 today. So first day of summer. Well, I'm sorry. You know, Laura, I'm wearing shorts for the first time today. So, you know, I just had to cave in. But it's not a hot 90. It's a cool 90. It'll go back probably into the 80s and 70s here next week, but maybe not a good portent for the summer to come, right?
And Laura, what about you? You're up north, right?
Yeah, I just got back to Montana yesterday. I was in upstate New York for a bit, and I'm home now.
Yes, you were in New York. I want to start with this. Please, let's hear about your travel to the Tesla hotel room. I want to know more about that. That I was a little jealous. That seems pretty cool.
Yeah, his study is there. Also, you know, where he died, where he was really, you know, just put for quite a large amount of time. So tuning into that energy was really awesome. Just being in the presence of his field, going close to those doors and just kind of wondering if we should knock and see who's staying in there and bother them, but we didn't.
So they let people stay there.
What'd you say?
So they let people stay there?
They let people stay there. Yep.
Wow. But Julian Assange, that's fine.
Julian Assange, or AKA John Trump. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that meme? Assange literally looks like John Trump's son. He looks like a member of the family. And it's extraordinary when you think about it. And you know, with me, absolutely nothing is coincidence. And I have all these doppelgangers on my phone and things that I put out of people that look exactly like each other. And I just think that there's something to it. I just don't know what.
Well, like these supposed grandchildren of Elvis that are popping up.
Yeah. Well, and there's some people that say Elvis is still alive and he's a preacher in this church and he's 83 or something. You know, there's a guy that looks a lot like Elvis might look if he was 83 and just a preacher. It's pretty weird.
And sounds and sings and wears the same clothes.
Wow.
Same boots, actually.
Wow. Same boots.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And same scars. Dude, there's so much in that rabbit hole. That's a fun one. That's a fun
that's something we
hole.
should do. That's something we'll have to do. We'll have time to do over the disclosure experience weekends. Maybe we can do that. I can put together a whole doppelgangers thing. We can talk about that, Elvis. Barbara Bush and Aleister Crowley. You know, is George Herbert Walker Bush a Bush or is he a Scherf from Nazi Germany? We can do that. We can look at Bill Clinton's illegitimate kids. We can put all this stuff together, and it would be fun. And then we can show the Elvis clips and Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah.
How about Paul McCartney? There's a guy who looks exactly like Paul McCartney, who used to manage the Paul McCartney Museum, which is a house he grew up in. Who looks exactly.
I was 5 minutes before the show started. I was talking to someone about the Paul is dead conspiracy, just laying it all out. And then I showed him the music video, Free as a Bird. Laura, with the way things, not necessarily everything's coming out, but so much is coming out. How does it feel knowing that things that we've been saying for years that is now coming to light?
Feels really good, and definitely it's going to be managed by just keeping tabs on how the dots are connecting and just keeping this conversation alive, presenting, more material as it shows up, because whistleblowers are coming out of the woodworks, victims of, human trafficking and all the different dark levels of how deep this goes are having a voice now. So to me, it's like the doorway is open, the conversations are going to increase and begin to flow and reach a lot more people. So it feels really, really good for sure. But we don't want any steered narratives that stay in this compartmentalism. We want to make sure all the doors are swinging open and people will be willing to, have an open enough mind to not stay stuck on just one trajectory when it comes to disclosure.
Yeah. And Mike, now that JFK files are coming out, and what we've said all along, and he wasn't a single shooter. Do you feel like rejoice?
No, because it's like what Laura just said. She just nailed it. It's like a controlled disclosure narrative. We're now to the point where they're saying, the CIA killed him. Okay, who gave this order in the CIA? We don't have that. We have these people that implicate there was some CIA stuff. We have this James Jesus Angleton guy who said, it was a tiny cabal inside the CIA. What's the evidence? I've got evidence. I can line up my JFK assassination theory of two shooters, Lee Harvey Oswald and J.D. Tippit, the Dallas police officer. I can document it with some of the documents released already under Trump. I can document it with the Byrne memo and MJ-12 documents that have been pretty well authenticated over the years. But it's not like we went in there, Laura, and found the Eisenhower briefing document in there. It's not like there was any smoking guns in this. And so they're using it to just push the new narrative, which is, CIA killed him. But nobody's asking the question, who gave the order? Again, we all know in 2020 that on election night, but they stopped counting the votes simultaneously in 7 swing states. What we don't know is who gave that order. 7. Who gave that order? Why is nobody asking that question? And I think it's the same thing here. They're going to get it to a certain level, and then they're just going to say, okay, CIA. Well, who in CIA? Why? And the reason why, I think, is aliens. I think it's the alien presence. I think Kennedy knew about it. I think that Majestic 12 was controlling CIA. Alan Dulles was fired as director of CIA by John F. Kennedy, don't forget, but he was still MJ1. He was still on the Majestic Majority 12 committee. And so when Kennedy moved publicly in September of 1963 to go to the moon with the Russians as partners, and knowing what they knew about the alien technology that was there and that they were planning on bringing back, they said, that's it. We have to get rid of this guy. They had 10 days after he started issuing national security directives. Nobody's asking any of these questions. I'm doing my best to get Tim Burchett's attention, Anna Paulina Luna. I'm trying to get in front of these committees. Instead, they have clowns like fucking Oliver Stone up there. So I'm frustrated more than I am happy, Doc, because even though an issue that I think is critically important to us understanding what our government is really all about and how it's really functioned for the last 4 generations, even though we're making some progress on that front, they're still controlling where we go. It's like, well, we'll let you go this far, but now we're drawing the line right
Totally.
Laura?
Yeah, definitely. That's it. And you just listed so many things that we're not going to hear except for from folks like you. So that's where the conversation needs to really expand into the researchers and experiencers and contactees and whistleblowers. It all has to be put out there. The censorship has to stop. It's still happening. And, people have to like look in these different areas and help to spread the word,
Yeah. And Laura, how can they have these UFO committees, these hearings, and they have clowns like Elizondo testifying and Grush and where's Travis Walton? Where's Whitley Strieber? Where's Tom Reed? Where are you? Where am I? Where are the people who actually have been researching this for the last 25 or 30 years?
Exactly.
There's Jeremy fucking Corbyn. He put out another video the other day of a blob. Oh, that's great. There's a blob on the screen, not doing anything exceptional, just sitting there. That could be, it's nothing but a heat source, and it's all over the news. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure their podcast numbers are up and they're getting money off of the views, but it's like, where are the people who really know this subject? It's a shame Stanton Friedman's not still with us, but his book should be being entered into the congressional record. Bob Dean's lectures should be being entered into the congressional record, and we should be interviewing people like Travis and like you. And instead, we have this clown show of DOD controlled, certified UFO experts who are telling us, again, I have a report that this blob did all these extraordinary things. Oh, we have a report. Well, where's the video of that? Because all I see on the video is another blob, like the last blob that Corbell had. Oh, look, it splashed into the water. No, it was just a drone engine heat moving away from the camera, and it disappeared over the horizon. That's what it was. And these clowns are being put out as they're the authorities on UFOs. As long as they're the authorities and nobody is listening to the people who really know what's going on and have really experienced the secret space program and all this stuff, then we're not going to get anywhere near the truth. We're just going to get, again, another false narrative that's going to replace the old false narrative. And still, no one's going to be held accountable.
How is it that society still allows the minority to lie to them when they see the majority screaming with neon signs the truth, and yet still follow? It blows my mind. All I can think of is mind control.
Yeah,
and blue screens and whatever like all the different things we could talk about all combined.
It gets passed down generation to generation. Social engineering impacts the DNA, and it gets passed down to the point where it's so integrated in the belief system and the physiology of an individual that to begin to break that down, the body revolts and says, I'm not ready yet. You have to have a really rebellious nature from the get-go. But if you're just kind of like complying, and this is how I get rewarded in society, this is where I get my paycheck, this is where I get the pat on the back, this is what's expected of me, people don't want to let go of that. And Mike and I talk a lot about the dependency bond. It's like it's an addiction matrix, and it has created personas and personalities that can only identify with the labels that they've been given or that they've strived to represent. So that piece of sovereignty is not something people really want either. They're afraid to let go of that dependency and begin to really do that inner work. People get medicated for that. Oh, you're depressed. Oh, you're angry. Oh, you have anxiety. Nobody's looking at why. Because that's the body saying, and that's the emotion saying, that's your soul saying something's wrong. Let's explore that. And instead, no, let's just shove it back down. Because something's wrong with us. It's the other way around.
It's scary, Laura, because once you accept sovereignty, you also have to accept responsibility, right? You have responsibility. That if you find out that MJ-12 killed John F. Kennedy because he was going to go to the moon with the Russians to retrieve ancient alien technology, you have to throw out all of your belief structures, especially if you thought people who believed in aliens were crazy. You're going to have to throw all that out there, and you're going to have to take responsibility for being fooled, for being duped, for looking stupid, And then, then you have to say, okay, now we've got to do something about this. And that's the part that people aren't willing to do. By the way, sorry, Doc, you triggered me. Laura triggered me with that statement about the hearings and stuff and the narratives. Yeah. So I got triggered here today. I'm on fire, but yeah, they don't have the responsibility. That's why the Matrix, it's like the line Morpheus tells Neo in the Matrix, So most people are so dependent on the system, so hopelessly inured into it that they will fight to protect that which is enslaving them.
Yeah. We've been just talking. I wasn't paying attention to the comments. No offense, folks. But someone pointed out something that is a fact, that we were talking about Bob, the pastor, earlier. He was at Lisa Marie Presley's funeral, and her sons are in charge of the Elvis estate. And he is married to Elvis's old girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This guy really is is he really Elvis? What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God.
And here's the thing. Trump was talking about signing a bill if he got into office, or a law that would allow anybody that staged their death because they're a celebrity and they wanted to get out of the spotlight to be able to come back into the public eye and not be harassed by the media.
He did?
He did. Well, he was going to. I don't know if he has or not yet, but it was mentioned.
Wow.
Because then you have JFK Jr.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vincent Fusco. Yeah, is he Elvis?
Vincent Fusco. Did you know Vincent Fusco was at the first Disclosure Con, Mike?
I did not, and I know Vincent a little bit. Like I
was told that he was there. I was told that he was there. I didn't get to see him.
He looks like John Denver with the round face and the eyes. He looks exactly like John Denver, and I'm not.
Well, you know what? I love you, Vincent. If you're watching, I love you to death. But if I find out you're John Denver, I'm going to beat the tar out of you for thank God I'm a country boy. Okay?
You just got to look that one up. I kind of came across
you down.
Yeah.
Well, would you rather have John Denver or Bob Denver?
Bob Denver.
John Denver. It could just be, people look like people. That's the thing.
Well, the thing is, though,
we all have our doppelgangers, but I mean, if you look at you guys just have to see a picture next to each other. Way more than JFK Jr. Way more.
And the thing too about it is that Junior impersonated Vincent Fusco on 2 occasions at least, where you can clearly see it's JFK Jr. in a disguise. I mean, the matching
live,
the eyes, like there's things you can change about your face, Laura. You can change your chin, you can change your nose.
They do that all the time.
And like Michael Jackson, he enjoyed doing it in college and theater class.
You can't change this part.
Right. You can't change the ratio between, let's say, your mouth and your eyes, or the width of your eyes. And you can't change those things. And you line those up, and it's Vincent Fusco. Not only that, the woman he's with is the spitting image of Carolyn Bessette. Absolutely, it's her.
Yep.
And, I went in, I did some videos. I had a video that had over 100,000 views on YouTube until they took my channel down because of the video. And she's wearing Jackie Kennedy's ring from a White House days. There's a ruby ring she's wearing at one of them, and then the
fedora,
the gunner's wife. Well, the fedora. The gunner's wife is a channel. She did lip reading. She took some of these down, but like there's video prior to the Trump rally, and you see Junior come in and sit down next to her, and they start talking, and they're positioned over Trump's shoulders. And there's a camera, there's a screen up there for Trump to look up and see what he looks like on TV, right? And the monitor. And so they're looking at the monitor, and she goes, see, while Trump's talking, she goes, there you are, you're the star. And he draws out a star. So
on the screen.
So that means, so that you can see that. So that means that her lip reading is accurate. And then she goes, you're him, you're the Junior. And then he draws out JFK
in the air.
It's not Vincent Fusco. That was John F. Kennedy Jr. impersonating Vincent Fusco. So yeah, I mean, imagine Elvis is still alive. What happened to Paul McCartney? What happened to John F. Kennedy Jr.? That would be great if that stuff could come out. But It shouldn't be a crime to fake your own death to save
Michael Jackson too, by the way.
You think Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
Really?
Dude, his illegitimate son has been to my home. Little Michael Jr. He's been here. He came for an award event and hung out at my place with some friends afterwards. And someone's like, that's his illegitimate son. I was like, what? But now it's making the rounds. Like TMZ are talking about it and stuff. So because he's like a spitting image. Yeah, I think eventually when our job will eventually become professors of true history.
Right.
I think that's what we'll end up becoming one day.
And this is the kind of thing you're going to get. We're going to be able to go into so much depth for disclosure experience. 2025. What is it? May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th? Is that what we're doing? May 4th, 5th, and 6th. I forget. I get the May, June ones I'm doing mixed up. But this is the kind of thing you're going to get in depth. And I mean, we're going to go over this stuff. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You're going to get this in depth. We're going to talk 9/11. We're going to talk, did we fake the moon landing? We're going to talk about this kind of stuff and layers of truth. And it's just going to be fascinating stuff.
Between all of us, you'll be uncovering the layers of truth that you've discovered. I'll be doing the same, particularly about Eisenhower's administration and what it means for us today. Things about the Earth Alliance, the White Hats, the Guardians, and Val Thor, and what it means for us today. And then we have John D'Souza joining us and Tom Reed.
John D'Souza.
Yeah. And there's a lot that comes with it when you get a ticket. Mike and I are going to be bringing books, signed copies, no additional cost. I'll be doing readings, no additional cost, astrology readings. We'll be getting into some of that, or I will over the weekend. And food, right? What's covered? Food,
food, lodging, alcohol, entertainment, lodging, speakers, ranch, and just a quality time you won't get at any other event.
And until you've got a disco dance floor going and you got a little bit of wine in Laura Eisenhower, you haven't lived. You haven't had fun until you've got Laura out there on the dance floor with a little bit of wine.
Yeah. And there is a dance floor. Here, I'm going to play this real quick. Just knock this out. Hold on.
All right.
Have you ever attended a large conference or event with hundreds of attendees? One that features notable speakers that you hope to ask a single question or at least get an autograph or selfie? Well, the time has come for the opportunity of a lifetime. 1028 Productions and Entertainment is pleased to announce our exclusive inclusive events occurring each weekend in May and June 2025. These events will be held at a private 40-acre ranch in the White Mountains of Arizona. You and 19 other VIP guests will have a once-in-a-lifetime weekend to spend quality time with prominent speakers. The weekend includes discussions, activities, workshops, UFO watching, campfires, meals, barbecues, and nightly entertainment. Scheduled to attend are Tony Rodriguez, James C. Goodall, Michael Schratt.
You're going to DE 25.
Ben Chasteen, Brad Olson, David Nino Rodriguez, Ryan Patrick Burns.
Holy shit.
Oh yes, but wait, there's more. Travis Walton, Quincy Roser, Rex Bear, Brooks Agnew, Mike Barra, J.J. Ainsworth, Marina Seren.
So many to choose from.
Can I continue? Laura Eisenhower, Lily Nova, Daryl James, Aaron Kuhn, and Tyler Kiwala, Jeff Harmon, Camille James Harmon, John D'Souza, Tom Reed, Christopher LaPrath, and Michael Mazzola. Your registration fee covers meals, lodging, an open bar, and musical entertainment on Saturday and Sunday nights. Lodging will be provided at our local hotel, the Green Tree Inn, for said weekend. April 20th is the final deadline. For more detailed information and to register for one of these events, go to 1028productions.com/DEE25. Reserve your spot today, as there is limited availability.
Nice.
That's right, folks. Only 20 spots per weekend, and the deadline is creeping up. We've been going at this for a bit. 20th is the deadline. That way we can get everybody, it's registered, lined up for the event. Know how much food we're going to need, alcohol, that fun stuff. So go to the website now, get it, and we take all forms of payment as well as payment plan. So if it's a little too much right off the bat, you can do it in installments. So that's what we got going on. And you guys are going to be doing some really cool stuff. I mean, the readings and the books, I mean, that's going to be amazing. And then, barbecues, bonfires under the stars, and really amazing discussions.
Yeah, it'll be epic weekends. On both occasions I'm there. I know that because I'm going to be there. So of course it's going to be epic, and Laura's going to be awesome because she's there. Doc, you make a really good Man in Black there in the video.
Yes, I'm actually in the movie. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Have I ever? No, I did not know that.
It's the documentary called "Who Saw the Men in Black," and yeah, they got a good deal on me for free.
Yeah,
the cousins brothers called me and they're like, "Hey, man, since you're bald, would you shave and like pale your face and do a shot of you as a Men in Black?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" Like, just be creative, just something. We just need a shot or two. Well, I went a little nuts and did like 20, 30 different things. Had my friends involved. The garage blacked out with tar, medical tools on the table, handcuffed to the chair. Doing this, shushing them, and because I just didn't know, I wanted to give them a variety. And I see the movie, and lo and behold, I'm like, every single shot I did was all the way in, even into the credits. And I was like, man, wish I was getting residual.
I had a couple of Men in Black encounters that were a little weird. When I was shooting a show called Uncovering Aliens for Animal Planet with Daryl Sims and Stephen Jones and Maureen, what was her name? Maureen. Anyway, we were in South Carolina, and we across the parking lot. We were getting out. We were going to shoot somewhere in Myrtle Beach, and I get out and I look across the parking lot, and there's a guy dressed like a Man in Black, and he's just watching us. I mean, he had the hat on, the black suit, the white shirt, the black tie. He's talking on a phone. He's kind of looking at us, but it was far away. It was about 30, 40, 50 yards away, across this parking lot with some trees and stuff. And I took a picture, and it's like, that was really weird. So that happened. And then later, 3-4 years later, I'm living and working in California, and I'm at BJ's Brewhouse, which, by the way, has a great red beer called Jeremiah Red. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just having a beer and doing my thing. And this guy comes in and sits down next to me. And I look over, and he's dressed like a Man in Black. Black suit, black tie, white shirt, the weird black hat. And then he gets on his phone. So I snuck a picture of him. Now I want you to take a close look. I'm going to hold this up. Take a close look at this. Do you notice anything a little odd about that gentleman? Let's see if we can focus in. Look at this.
Yeah. I want to say I think I've seen that guy in other pictures before.
Look at his hand. What the fuck is up with that claw?
Oh. Well, you shot it, so it's not AI.
No, this is from 2015. AI didn't really exist like that.
Can you zoom in on the hand?
I'm trying. Let me see.
No. I meant with your fingers on the screen.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
There you go.
That, I don't think, Laura.
A crab hand, I think, is what they call it.
That is not a human hand.
Oh, I don't know.
Wow.
And I had no idea when I took the picture. I didn't know. He was sitting next to me. I didn't notice anything about the hand, so I'm wondering what the deal was with that. So I've had a couple of mildly weird Men in Black encounters.
That's and they didn't say anything to you? They just
He didn't
stalked
say a
you?
word. He didn't say a word, didn't talk to me, didn't do anything. Just sat there next to me in total silence the entire time. I don't even remember hearing him order a drink or anything. He must have, or he wouldn't have been able to sit there. But come to think of it, I don't remember any interaction with anyone that he had.
Kind of makes me think of the priest in Poltergeist 2.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looked the way he's all wrinkled.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it makes you want. I mean, here's the thing: they've always been, from what I've heard, very smooth skin, tight, muscular. And then here's this older one, skin's really flabby, and it's like the meat suit ain't fitting on the body right.
I mean, I guess he could have been a Mennonite or something, but I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, that's definitely a strange encounter.
Yeah, Cindy. I hung out with Ishmael Perez this weekend and his ever-present girlfriend.
Oh shoot! I'm watching you guys. I keep forgetting about the comments. Sorry, my bad. You're sitting there reading it. I'm like, wait, who's he talking to?
Cindy over there.
Okay.
YouTube. You see why?
Mm-hmm.
I only see a few comments. I'm only seeing a few comments. Oh, these are comments on my YouTube channel. That's why I'm seeing them, because I'm restreaming to my YouTube channel. That's why.
Oh, I was going to say, wow, we have a lot of guests. It's not normal, so but it makes sense now.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Ishmael's Ishmael, right? Works out a lot.
Nice.
We were on a panel. I was like, the first question I wanted to ask him is, does creatine really help you build muscle?
So what big things, what revelations have you discovered recently with everything that's going on? Like, you got the Egypt thing going on, you got the UAPs and the drones and all this other stuff going on. You've got files being released. What has been the biggest revelation that you just recently discovered?
Who, me? Oh,
both of you.
I think right now the financial thing that's going on is very deliberate, and it's designed to starve the bad guys, the cabal of money. And I think he suckered them in. Trump suckered them in the other day, and with putting the tariffs in place. And there were some interesting countries on that list that got tariffed. I will just say that. And they go into effect. The market goes down. All the evil demons. Oh, well, this is a great chance to make money. So what do? They shorted the market. They shorted the market for two reasons. One, to make money off of it, and two, to bring it down so that they could sell, oh, Trump is causing an economic collapse. And then when they're sitting on their short options, right? Trump says, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put these tariffs off for 90 days and think about it. Boom, the market shoots back up, and the cabal lost trillions on Tuesday when he did that. They lost trillions, and I think
brilliant.
I think it was brilliant. Okay, look, it was brilliant, and it was brilliant. And I think I think you have to watch the war, because, like Laura talks about the war is going on at all these different levels right now. And don't say to yourself, well, the alien thing doesn't have anything to do with the financial markets. Oh, yes, it does. Because I think everything comes down to money and aliens in the end.
And you, Laura?
Well, I'm digging real deep, and I'm putting all this information together to do a 3-part documentary series. And so I'm having lots of revelations about the information. Some of it I already knew, but new dots are being connected. So I'm not going to get into it too much, but it has to do with, Tesla, has to do with unconditional surrender instrument of 1952, and just the chronology and timeline with obviously multiple timelines that we can align with because of artificial timelines being engineered. Just seeing the mechanisms behind all of it. As much as I have talked about it in a lot of my presentations, it's very interesting to see some aspects of it that have that I didn't fully know. So connecting those dots is great, and that's what we're going to do over the weekend, because we all have different pieces, and to be able to discuss it and see how it all lines up is really awesome. I think there's always the fresh astrological reports of what's actually going on. We have a full moon coming with the sun conjunct Chiron, forming a very strong square to Mars, and a lot of identity crisis. Mike and I were talking about this in the last show that we did. A lot of anger, a lot of discord and aggression is coming with this aspect, because there's so much awakening on the planet. You can't really avoid it. And so when we're talking about are people, waking up? Why are they only looking in one place? And why won't they open their minds a little bit more? Now the physical body is having a really, really hard time holding this lower density and the divide and conquer tactics and the negative ego and all these different ways to keep us from finding the truth that the body is revolting, but it doesn't know how to handle it. So it's coming out in a lot of out of control protests and a lot of breaking points for people, where that actual crisis is going to be a huge catalyst for their willingness to maybe look at a much bigger picture, and if not, how much that might really compromise their health and well-being. So just looking at all of that and where things are going with that, and witnessing it in my own personal life, and feeling into the solutions that will help assist people in this transition, all the different missions and callings that people have. It's like, we've got this. Healing centers are cropping up, more advanced technology that has been suppressed from the scientists that were shut down. That is even on a ground level, not necessarily extraterrestrial technology. It's on a human level, just like the Nazis that were able to develop, certain technology. It's just been weaponized and used against us. But a lot of those hidden scientists and a lot of, their material and work, coming to the surface in order to help this transition for a lot of people. There's always revelations connected with that, and meeting new people and seeing the synchronicities unfold.
Laura, do you think there's any, you look at Trump and he does bear at his age a resemblance to Patton at his age. And he was born a few months after Patton's death. And I'm wondering, do you think there's any type of connect? And of course, they both have sort of a take no prisoners attitude at times. I don't think Trump is quite as intense as Patton was, but do you see any connection there? Of course, we don't know. We don't know that Patton died when he died. There are psychics who will tell you he lived on for 20 years after the car accident. He was in a wheelchair and all this stuff. But do you see anything there, or is that just sort of barking up a tree?
I see similarities, right? And it might be, a soul group. It could be just, characteristics based in, some kind of lineage, past lives, anything's possible. So I what I'm really tapping into a lot recently is just the continuation of this takedown of the deep state that was seeded very much in the Eisenhower administration, that was obviously seeded way before that, but how, it's finding its way through, all these cover-ups, all these scandals, all these false narratives, that something is, breaking it all down, and it's rising, and we're going to, understand a lot more about the true history versus the rewritten history. And so I'm seeing, there's so much about Eisenhower and Patton, what happened after the Second World War, the true, generals and light workers, that I feel is a rising.
Well, there are people that say that Eisenhower,
humanity, is getting in touch with that.
Yeah,
for
there
themselves.
There are people that say that Ike hated Patton, that they hated each other's.
No,
God.
No.
You don't think so?
There's so much false narratives and information to cover up who Eisenhower really is and what he actually did. And I'm coming in with an open mind, not to be biased, like, I have to just defend Eisenhower. It's like, if that were the case, I'd be exposing it. I thought maybe he signed treaties with the Greys, and way back I was exposing it. But now it's like, as of a couple of years ago, it's very certain that MJ12 did it behind his back. I have a lot more information now. And the Pattons have reached out to me. They love him. There's nothing in the family, saying that there's any sort of enemy. I've talked to my mom.
Okay, so there's no Patton family history of there being a problem between.
No, and yeah, if anybody was going to put a hit on him, it would have been, somebody connected to Truman, somebody connected to deep state 3-letter organizations. Eisenhower wasn't a part of all that. And I was raised in this family, so I know, because I'm not, a survivor of, the things that take place in these family lines. There's none of that in this particular family. So it's an anomaly. It's just, when it came to the end of the war, Eisenhower had to make a decision to, be in this role of president and not be co-opted, not to be used, not to be just a puppet, but to work on things covertly to take down the deep state. So if we were to continue on with the war like Patton wanted to, which was a really bold and wonderful intention, Eisenhower had to kind of make a decision that we need peace. We need to begin to address this in a different way. I think he was starting to be briefed after 1952, after the unconditional surrender agreement, with the help of Val Thor. I think he was starting to really feel in, because they worked with him intuitively. I was told I was one of his guides and I was working with him, but that's like whatever. That he, would be making decisions based on, really strong guidance from the right forces to, help us, get out of the war and fight this war on a different level. And this is the war that we're winning within ourselves. This is us standing strong in awakening our callings and our missions, because it's not going to be just the government structure that's going to deliver it to us. And that's how we help Trump. That's how we help this administration. That's how we help the White Hats, the Earth Alliance, and all these different forces. So with this greater galactic war going on, how much we fight on the ground level is not going to zap that greater galactic war picture unless, we were able to, work with, Val Thor, who went rogue, who wasn't a part of the federations, and he helped appeal to the Guardians on behalf of the human race, on behalf of Eisenhower's request. So that's the kind of information that I've been uncovering for everybody to discern, but it's very different than what we hear. So of course I get the backlash of what people hear, and it's just part of the fun of getting attacked every day for it.
Well, I mean, no, that's, I just thought I would ask that because that's the kind of thing we're going to have time to do this weekend, just discuss all this stuff. And yeah, what was it? Patton said, are we sure we're fighting the right enemy here in Europe? And you give me 400,000 gallons of gas, I'll be in Moscow in 2 months and I'll make it look like the Russians started it. And we can get rid of the communist scourge forever, which would have been a positive turn for the world, I think, to get rid of communism.
Yes.
And yet, 15 years later, 18 years later, Kennedy was trying to bridge the gap in the same way by joining on man's greatest adventure to go to the moon. So, it's just there are these key turning points in world history where everything could have changed if a different decision was made.
Well, yes, but I mean, the bigger picture is where all these isms, Zionism, Nazism, communism, I mean, there's too many tentacles that have created all these different, party lines. And the thing is, United States is not fully sovereign. United States has become deep state. It's been infiltrated. And to go after something is not
corporation. It's actually a bankrupt corporation.
And the thing is, people think it's like totally infiltrating, but in a lot of ways they have been, allies. They don't want to turn us into, communists. They didn't sign the unconditional surrender agreement. So, there's a lot more there. And Eisenhower put a lot in place to not allow any communism in. And this whole McCarthy thing, there's so much hidden history to all of this, and what the Earth Alliance represents, and how bankrupting the deep state is the best tactic as far as, fighting, these branches of, human enslavement and control, going after them. The decision was made that wouldn't have been the best in our best interests. So we can only just go with what was decided. And sure, there might've been a better way, but I think when we look at the bigger picture, we'll see why this might've been the best way. And if not, then we're here to correct the mistakes of our ancestors. But there's a difference between a deep state player and a pawn and a puppet, versus, decisions that have to be made on behalf of protecting the innocents and dragging more, war on a ground level into it when we got a bigger war that we need to expose, so people really understand the hidden galactic history behind where we are today.
I heard from, I don't know if you've ever run this chart or ever looked into it from a psychic perspective, but I have a psychic friend, Jennifer Fallaw, who's my partner on shows I do during the week. And I asked her about Hitler the other day, and I said, did Hitler really live after World War II? And she said, yeah, that they snuck him off to Colombia and then eventually to Argentina, and he passed away 20 years later or so of natural causes, and the wife and the daughter. And by the way, the daughter is Angela Merkel. I'll get you some pictures there too. Laura, have you ever looked into that? And what do you think about that? Is that another truth that maybe we're going to get our hands on?
Well, there's a lot about, Hitler. There's a lot of information about, the Nazis and the Galactic Federation and the Draco Alliance and the roots of the interplanetary corporate conglomerate and what became the military industrial complex starting in 1929. So this Greada Treaty is BS. I mean, this began a long time ago. That's why going after, some kind of enemy. The real enemy is what became the deep state, the shadow government, and the three-letter organizations that were established. So there's a lot more information, about Hitler, and it looks like, he branched off from, the Fourth Reich and what was happening in Antarctica, and fled to possibly South America and all that. So for sure. And we'll be definitely diving into all that around the campfire.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I'm trying to find my my doppelgangers thing. If you look at Angela Merkel, who was Chancellor of Germany during these first Trump administration for about 12 or 14 years, the resemblance to Adolf Hitler is extraordinary. Let me see.
I didn't speak on that, but no, I'm with you on that. And I just want to make sure you're keeping your eye on the time, Mike, because I know you got to go somewhere.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm fine. I got another 10 or 15 minutes. I got to leave at the top of the hour. I got to get my kitty to bed. So, okay, here we go. Hang on. Let me show you guys some more phone pictures. Okay, so the rumor is that Hitler and Eva Braun escaped to, I think, first Colombia and then Argentina, where they started working on the whole Fourth Reich thing. And they had a daughter. And, the resemblance between Hitler and Angela Merkel is kind of extraordinary. And
same kind of frown.
I mean, it's like pretty bizarre. So she's either the daughter or the granddaughter.
Wow.
But if Hitler lived into nearly 1960, then she was born, I believe, in 56 or something like that. So she absolutely could be a direct descendant. Some of the stuff we're never going to know unless we 23andMe these people, or they're out of business, I guess.
I was going to say they're out of business now. So.
They got my DNA, or what's the other one? The tree branch thing. I forget the name of the other company.
Well, you mentioned Barbara Bush and Crowley.
Crowley. Yeah, that's a definite.
Yeah. And some people put like Taylor Swift and what's his name? Anton LaVey.
Anton LaVey. Yeah.
Did you hear Taylor is now transitioning to be a man? She announced it. She announced it to all her Swifties.
But what about her football boyfriend?
She says she's been fighting with it for a long time.
Yeah.
It was on her Twitter or something.
Here's Chelsea Clinton's real dad, Webb Hubble.
Yeah.
That one couldn't be more obvious, right?
The doors are open and all kinds of full disclosure, and it's going to come from so many people, not just our governments. It's amazing.
You know what? You know what I like is Bill Gates' wife and Kevin Kline. I like.
That is such a spitting image.
That's really Kevin Kline, but I do like that one. Yeah.
I mean, people look like people, no doubt, but I mean, the Bill Gates' wife looks incredibly different than what she looked like earlier.
Oh yeah,
not the same person.
See, there's Hitler with a little girl that looks like Angela Merkel could as a little girl. So, and then there's of course the most famous one. Well, here's George Herbert Walker Bush with his dad, who he bears literally no resemblance to, none whatsoever. But he does look like this Scherf guy. And then, and I agree. I have a friend, Laura. I have a friend, Joe Heyer, who had a U2 tribute band called Hollywood U2. They're the best in the world. Unfortunately, they looks like they're done for a while. At least they're going to continue to play in Europe, but he's moved to Europe. But he's the same size as Bono. He looks like him, and his singing voice is almost identical. And I'm like, dude, it's like parallel DNA. So I agree with you that can happen, but when you talk about people in positions of authority, and especially when you look at that Barbara Bush's mother, what was her name? Pierce, was hanging around with Aleister Crowley in 1929, and then suddenly rushes back to New York after being in London with Crowley, and 9 months later, Barbara is born. Give me a break. That's a little bit different. It's pretty obvious what's going on there. And so then they took this Nazi guy, George Herbert Walker Scherf, and married him up with Barbara. And, again, there are also people who question whether Barbara is really a female or not. But I feel like she was a woman.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
I don't know Taylor. It says Taylor's playing a role in something called The Man, and that she transformed for that. But I don't think she's becoming a man.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that. I don't think it's as widespread as some people say when they just pick out every celebrity saying that was really a man. I mean, I get told I'm really a man, but I get told I'm a Russian spy too. But I'm not part of it.
I'm pretty sure that's
I'm not a
true.
part of those bloodlines, even though people think, well, you're related to a president, you must be. Anyway, but it's so interesting, and that what I love about you is you keep it real, and you don't just run wild with everything. But you're really you pull out the ones that are definitely like suspect.
Julian Assange and John Trump, the uncle of the president, who went and cleaned out all of Nikola Tesla's papers. Let's see if I can get that to focus.
Wait, I'm about to take it up another notch. Look at it again, Mike, and think Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
They're all being called out too. Diddy's victims. It's incredible. Sean Atkinson's YouTube channel and everything that's coming out with Ali
Schumer and a potato.
Yeah, it's all coming out. And the fact that P. Diddy's so dumb to talk as he's doing on the phones when they're tapped, and the ones that are being released.
The Castro thing's definitely obvious. And
I believe 100%.
What was being released, Doc?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What were you saying about what was being released?
Dude, that picture was like a squirrel. I just he held up that picture, a squirrel. Shit.
Sorry.
What was I saying?
Sorry.
Damn it, Mike.
I know.
I'm sure it was something quite brilliant, whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm sure it was too. I'm sure it was.
I'm trying
damn
to.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, we were flowing. Oh well. I guess we'll move on. But
yeah.
Go ahead, Laura.
Oh no, I was just trying to catch it too, but it's just blowing in the wind. It's all good.
Yeah. There's just so many relations, and that one kid that did the timeline, not timeline, but the family tree of all the presidents and how they're all related.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about Ellen. We were talking about P. Diddy. That's what we were talking about.
Right, but somebody in particular.
Yeah, I was saying how he did his phone calls from prison. He was saying things, and anybody with common sense could, understand what he was hinting to. And he's just, his narcissism is so through the roof. Like, he's completely untouchable. But go ahead.
I'm stunned he's still alive. I'm amazed he's still alive. Like, somebody must be protecting him or something.
If you haven't seen it yet, Bob Marley's daughter being interviewed talks about her exchange with P. Diddy and what happened to him as a child and some of their conversations. And she's exposing so much. Bob Marley's daughter. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so many. And these are unfortunately people that have lived through so much trauma, being ridiculed as, making this up, being liars, and just trying to get attention when in fact they truly are what they claim to be. And now it's all coming to light. Just like the Getty's Museum, that's really, I'm blown away at the information I've heard about the Getty's Museum. And then of course all the underground tunnels that supposedly certain celebrities know of,
and
to get across town fast. Yeah. I say I can understand that if you're an actor and you got to get to set, you can't get stuck in traffic. I get that, but can you imagine if all the tunnels were open to the public?
Well, we know there were the tunnels under the Playboy Mansion, so these tunnels do exist in LA because there were tunnels under the Playboy Mansion. Yeah. So
the son of the owner of Anheuser-Busch bought it recently in the past year or two, and he's been totally, like, you saw the backyard torn up where there was a tunnel system, and he's just gone through and remodeled the place.
John D'Souza's complaining he's not on here because we didn't have enough time, because between me talking and Laura talking, we didn't have enough camera time, John.
I thought you guys just went on together, and I was like,
well, we did, but we'll do it, John. We'll
have
have
a big round table with all of us. I think John D'Souza, Tom Reed, me, and you.
Yep.
We'll get that going.
For our weekend, right? We'll advertise our weekend. There we go. Sounds good.
So we'll talk about that. I mean, the deadline's the 20th, though. I mean, that only gives us.
It's been going on for a while, but it's been the economy and everything. It's just, but yeah, there is a deadline. One, to get the good deal for the hotel rooms and get everything booked and all that. So yeah, if you can, let's get this. Let's get it done. And
then the 17th, we're on again with the second weekend, right?
Correct. Yeah, you're going to be back again next week, right? That is next week. Yeah, next week. So, all right. Well, it is coming up on the top of the hour. Anything you guys got coming up that you want to share with everybody? Places you're going to be, shows you're going to be on, your shows?
No, I just finished a run of stuff. I mean, what I've got coming up next is Sholo. It's I've got the shows coming up. The Disclosure Experience 2025, the first weekend with Laura and John and Tom, and then the second weekend with JJ and Marina and Brooks, and they're all going to be spectacular. And if you haven't heard, Marina has never spoken in the U.S. before, and if you haven't heard her secret space program story, it's quite extraordinary. It's almost as extraordinary as Laura's. And I got to get you two together, Laura, you and Marina. I got to get you guys together. Maybe we'll do a show together. Maybe we'll do an interview. Because of the time difference, she's in Madrid. It's hard to get her on. But I wish we were doing a weekend together because we could have a whole secret space program weekend. That would be really cool. But Laura,
that would be cool too. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. there right now.
I know what Carrie Cassidy says about 107. So let me just straighten this out before we go, because I got to go take my kitty to the vet. 107's real name is Wayne Williott. Okay, he's a former insurance investigator. He used to investigate people claiming disability claims against insurance companies. All right, he used to work for the Reagan family, for Michael Reagan, which is how he got involved in Republican politics. And on my first book with Richard C. Hoagland, he was a source we had called Deep Space. We called him Deep Space, like Deep Throat and the whole Watergate thing, which, by the way, Watergate was also a coup about aliens, which I will be talking about in Laura with the weekend with Laura. I'll be doing a presentation on that too. I'm going to tell you why they took Nixon out, what the real reason was why CIA went after Nixon, and it was aliens. But last time I hung out with 107 was at the Hooters in Santa Monica, drinking beers and checking out the girls in their shorts. Okay, so look, let me just tell you, he's not John F. Kennedy Jr. He's not. Okay, he is not.
I think Carrie said that there was two, and she's referring to a different one, possibly. So
she said it again at Alien Event last weekend. She said, "Yeah, his 107 is JFK Jr." I'm like, no, he's not. But I didn't say anything there.
Oh yeah, no, I think she changed that since. But yeah, but thanks for saying that.
Wayne's just a guy. He's just a dude, but he's got quite a shtick going. So look, I think the main thing I want to Tom Arnold. I think the main thing is again, keep your eye on the financial on the financial markets, because we are transitioning to a gold-backed currency. That is happening. I think it happens within the year. It may happen within the month. There's going to be a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be some fear. Don't buy into the fear. Keep your eye on what's going on financially, because that's where everything is. Because right now the alliance is taking down the deep state by starving them of money. That's what they're going to do. That's what Trump's going to do.
Well, I'm excited to see how it's all going to play out, because he is playing 5D chess. So, well, guys, thank you so much, Laura, Mike. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having us. I just want to say, just to answer your question about what I have going on, cosmicguide.org. Yeah, cosmicguide.org. I'm going to be at the Isle of Wight May 16th to 19th with David Icke. I've got the New Living Expo in San Rafael, California. Before that, I believe I should have my dates. Check my email. I believe it's the 12th to the 9th to the 11th. Check my website, though. I'll keep it updated. Thank you so much for having us, though, Doc.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. And remember, folks, go to www.cowboy, 1028-productions/DE25. It's at the bottom. And get your tickets now. 20 seats only are available for each weekend. So pick wisely. And remember, as long as we all lift each other up, we will all rise together. Thanks for joining me on the Doc Skinner podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Good night, guys.
Bye.